That's how did that come about? I mean, to actually get the show? I know
Yeah.
you were performing quite a lot, but how does it come about where they come to Fred and they say, "All right, now you get your own show"?
Exactly. There's a bit of a blessing here. It was 1985. I'd done my first record, The Cat Came Back, in 1979, 80, and then worked with Raffi for 5 years, and and built my touring chops, and four more albums over that time frame. So by the time the mid 80s came along, I was already pretty well established. I'd been playing the festivals. CBC, unbeknownst to me, had been following my work across the country, and they were looking for a replacement for the Friendly Giant. And they had seen what I was doing, and really liked my energy and how I was approaching things. So they basically, Dodie Robb, who was the head of children's television back in the mid 80s, she just called me out of the blue and said, "Hi, Mrs. Dodie Robb, head of children's television. We've been watching you. Would you like to do a TV series?" And it was, sorry, ding, 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 can you repeat that? A TV series, sure. Well, how do you do this? And then they said, "Well, what would you like to do?" They had no concept beforehand. It wasn't like, we would like it to be natural. We'd like a log. There was nothing to do with that. They basically put it completely in my lap, and I did as I generally do when any creative thing comes along, is I do my soul searching. I go inside, I start thinking and trying to figure out what it is that I would like to share with an audience, adult or children. And in my childhood, I was a scout and a cub for a while, and going into the woods and marking our paths. You get some twigs on the ground and you turn it into an arrow showing what direction was going. So if you got lost, then you could find it again, or you would mark the side of a tree, or do something to give an indication of where you were in case you got lost. And so that was the inspiration for the opening of the show. Was you go around this tree, you follow this fence, you see that red rock, you balance on that, you go, so it was all about trying to define an environment that the viewer could watch and listen and feel comfortable with, ultimately ending with the reveal of the hollow log, making sure that nobody else was watching, just us, and you crawl in. And the real idea of the show was to make it a comfortable environment, a protected environment for the viewer to watch. So I came back to CBC and said, here's my thought. I don't just want a door that you knock, open, come on in. I want it to be a special kind of place. And so they started working on that idea, and before long we had the concept, and props were being built, and contracts were being signed, and away we went.
Did you know what you didn't want?
Well, yes, I did not want it to be condescending. I wanted it to be an engaging environment for the child that just made the viewer feel comfortable, and to feel like they were just in a, so it's not flashy. Fred Pinner's Place was anything but flashy, but it gave the viewer a sense of calm, I'm hoping. And my approach to doing television, to doing any kind of video work, is clearly connected with the idea of the one child. And that concept is, when you're looking at a camera, you don't think of it as going out to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, who knows. But you look at that camera and imagine it's the one child. And then that's how you bring your energy down to that point of reference. And it's like, "Brent, hi. Hey, it's nice to see you. Come on in. I've got something to show you."
All right, I'm coming right now. Then I guess that's
Well, exactly.
I'm on the way.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of feeling of you and I are in this together.
Yeah.
And
it was quite something to watch, and educate. And I think you engage the kid. I mean, I put it on for my kids. I know
yeah.
I brought them up to Whistler to see you years and years ago.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, I just remember Samantha being like, the log, like, it was just this, the thing. And it's amazing what kids gravitate to and what they
Yeah.
get educated by. And anyone listening, I think that you should try to find as many old episodes as you can online, because I think they all hold true. I don't think there's anything topical per se. I think you just covered off getting everybody educated, and I think it's amazing. The atmosphere at the time and sort of what was going on. I mean, there was a lot for Canadian kids. There was a lot going on for my age group. I mean, I'm born mid '70s, so for me, coming through there, obviously we had Sesame Street, we had Read Along, Pokeroo, we had Mr. Dress Up, yourself, we had Sharon Lois and Bram. There was so many different ones. Looking at that kind of scenario, obviously, did you ask yourself like where you're going to fit in, or was it an instant success, or did it take some time to kind of carve out your space in there? What was your
not really. I was again very, very fortunate with the way it unfolded. Doing the Cat Came Back album, which was inspired by I was doing a show in Winnipeg. It was a stage presentation of the story of Blunder, which was on the where the Goblin song arrived. That was a story that I did on the first album, and I was doing the show with my actually my ex-wife was part of that, and a doctor and his wife approached me after the show and asked if I had a record, and because they liked my voice, they liked my music, and I said no, I hadn't. I'd only been doing, because I had been doing adult, more or less, entertainment in the 70s with bar bands and just working on my chops, and a lot of acting during the 70s as well, just gaining an ability of being able to express myself in many different mediums. And so the fellow asked if I had a record, and I said no, and they said, well, we would like to sponsor an album for you, and they basically gave me a blank check, how much it would cost. It ended up being about $8,000 in 1979, and that led to The Cat Came Back, and then that led to working with Raffi, and then it just flowed very, very quickly. And I think a big part of my approach was because I had worked with special needs children in Winnipeg in the 70s as well. From psychotic to schizophrenic to the full range of disturbance. And I had a sister who was born with Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. So all of these pieces together, and my desire to bring something positive into their world, helped me understand the true value of what music can do for a child, particularly. And because I had that level of philosophy going into it, I didn't feel in competition with anybody. I was working hard. I was writing a lot of songs. I was building a very strong career, and the gigs were selling out, and festivals were coming. I mean, it was, as you said, the 90s in particular was one of the hottest decades for Canadian entertainment. And it just kept blossoming all that time until the industry sort of caught on that they actually could make money from children's, and then the whole attitude sort of changed, and then people were putting out the kiddie pops, and as I was saying, what I didn't want Fred Penner's place to be was condescending, and all of this really condescending stuff was coming out, and I felt really disappointed that people were not holding on to, or that performers were not holding on to that sensitivity of what you really could bring into a child's world, that didn't have to be lacka, look at me, the color, oh, look at all that, it's so much fun. And, just losing really that sensitivity that is there in the child that needs to be nurtured, and that doesn't have to be, the fast, every 15 seconds another hit. it is possible to connect with a child on a sensitive level if you approach it from that angle.
You built it out based on obviously experience that you were talking about. Was there anything that you drew from for inspiration outside of your own personal, work that you've done in the past? Like, oh, I really like the way this show flows, or I really like this, or was it really just you the whole way, uninspired and just, these are my ideas, this is what I want, and I'm going to do this way?
Yeah, my influences when I was a young boy. We didn't have television until I was about 10 years old. Yes, I'm that old, Brent. Um, uh, so yes, we didn't have TV to work on, but I had radio, and on radio there were some of the best storytellers that I've ever heard. And so I would flip on my little crystal set and shove the thing in my ear and listen to these beautiful stories and the nice voice and engaging with good musical background behind it. So I did want in the beginning to bring that kind of intimacy, through storytelling, and it didn't have to be just a spoken word, but music could absolutely be part of the storytelling. So when the cat came back, fell into my lap, it was, oh, this is the perfect song because it has so much story to it. It has the adventure, it has the excitement of what's going to happen to this critter, and I think that's part of what has truly engaged with the audience, is they love that quality that the cat came back has. So I those were my main influences.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, as I got older, musically, I had a huge range of influence from the classical and swing era that my parents got into, to the early boy bands and rock and roll with my older brother and sister, and then into the folk scene in the 60s for me. So I had probably the best range of sound that I could possibly imagine.
Thanks for stopping by, friends, to the Brenton On Tour podcast channel on YouTube. Coffee, music, travel, life, all of those things, one page, lots of guests, lots of chatter. We talk about all of it. If you like it, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. Thanks, friends. See you next time.